And that's gonna... I have like 5 different things running all at once, and it looks like we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to November 7th, 2020. I am joined by my usual co-host, Cybernetic Pink Eye.
Greetings and felicitations.
And everything about today is so good. For those of you who don't know, in which case I would wonder how the hell you don't, the results of the November 3rd election are now available. We have had a projected winner declared. We have President-elect Joe Biden, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Today is gonna be a day of fucking celebration, and I know I got my art program booted up here right now, but I wanted to make that remark because I cannot tell you how happy I am, how relieved I am. So I ended up having a weird kind of sleep schedule, because I'm usually up at night, and then I sleep during the day. But instead, I needed to stay up this morning, because I needed to go and try and get some medication, and because of some bullshittery, I wasn't able to get the one that I'm actually going to run out of in the middle of the week, so I'm going to have to make arrangements for that, so that's fine. But, that's fine. And by the time, literally, just as I was getting home from that, and I was like, I'm going to go and get some sleep. I'm going to go and lie down so that I can be up, in time and ready to stream tonight. The news breaks. The presidential election has been called. I'm doing Koppaberg and living the life right now. Or drinking Koppaberg. You're doing. So.
Yeah, that actually leads to something that someone or a few people have pointed out on social media, and I think it is important to keep in mind. Like, this is something that we should all be proud of, but celebrate responsibly.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. Obviously, be careful. It's very good to celebrate this. This is a battle that has been won. There's going to be more fighting. There's going to be more contention. There's going to be more litigation. And yes, unfortunately, we are likely to face probably some form of armed conflict.
Yeah, because even discounting, the Proud Boys and, Rump himself, the uphill struggle, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that properly, it's only just begun. There's still a lot of work to do. Yeah, go ahead.
Sisyphean.
Thank you.
Believe me, I am very well aware. I think a lot of people who are celebrating today are well aware, because we have been fighting an uphill battle this entire fucking year. In fact, many of us have been fighting this fucking battle for the last 4 years. It's just a drink I rarely have, so I treated myself. Yes, I wish there were some happy drinks. I might grab some tomorrow. Because, that's just it. This is not going to be easy. Today was a victory, but it's important to, yes, remember that we're not done. There are many things that we need to keep pushing for. For example, the next couple of months are still going to technically be a Trump presidency. And it's not officially decided until the Electoral College goes to vote. And there's a lot of ways where that can be mitigated, where the results can be potentially disputed. And that's what these next couple of months are going to be, is people trying to prove that there was some kind of rigging going on in favor of Biden, even though there was blatantly rigging going on in favor of Trump.
Yeah.
I'm glad there won't be any more political ads. Yeah.
You say that, but
there's probably going to be political ads. I love that Trump actually sent out a fucking email to his constituents being like, help me fight the fight against this rigged election. And people are, there was a disclaimer that half of the money being reserved from every donation is going to be handed over to Trump, paying off Trump's debts. He literally turned to his constituents and said, if you pay me money to cover my legal fights, which, again, why should people do that? Why is it the responsibility of his constituents to fight his legal battles for him? And on top of that, he's literally saying so that in case he's not able to get out of this, which he should not be able to get out of this, he has over $100 million in debt that he owes that we know of.
Well, I mean, that's just it. When you're a cult leader, you don't have to be as subtle.
No. And I know that. Look, believe me, I am well aware
primarily
of...
clarifying for the audience.
Yeah. Well, not even Kickstarter funds are that shady. I mean, here's the thing. Kickstarter isn't inherently shady. Some people have made...
on Kickstarter.
Yeah. There are some people who get on... I remember... Retsu Prey way back in the day actually did like Kickstarter non-starters and took videos that were promoting that people had put up on Kickstarter to basically be funded. And there was one example of a guy who was like, I'm gonna write a book, or I'm gonna make a movie, and it's gonna be Black James Bond, but I need you to pay me all the money even though I don't even have a script yet.
Wasn't that the same motherfucker who was trying to pitched the idea of like a quaternary computer system?
Yep, same dude. So we are currently in this moment. Those of us who have been appalled by this presidency, those of us who have been actually suffering as a result of this presidency, which pretty much everyone has, regardless of whether or not the Trump cultists admit to it. We all have suffered as a result of it because of things like the pandemic. Our economy has gone to fucking shit because at no point did they actually release the funds that people needed in order to actually survive during this pandemic. Mm-hmm. And again, if we had been given the money to be able to pay for shit by the government, which is why we give them money, if they had taken even a fraction of the money that they funnel out to the military budget and actually applied that to the United States fucking citizens, there might have been more money circulating. People might have been buying more things, but no. Instead, he reopened the economy and consigned us to even more pain, heartbreak, loss, and long-term suffering, as a lot of people are not able to recover from it.
Yeah, funny how that didn't work out.
Weird how calling people in the military suckers and losers didn't end up actually work in his favor. Weird how telling people only to vote on election day, or before it, like in-person voting, didn't end up working out in his favor. As opposed to, say, the presidential candidate that was like, hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic and I don't want you putting your life at risk, so please, get some mail-in ballots, apply for that, here are options for that. Be sure that you get this in by a certain point, and, we're going to make sure that your voice counts in this election. And so, again, when all of the mail-in ballots were heavily skewed towards Biden, of course, the living tantrum had a meltdown when the numbers started skewing in Biden's favor. And again, people were like, why are all of the mail-in ballots so pro-Joe Biden? And it's because the people voting for Trump went in person. Mm-hmm. So yes,
they had their chance.
He got the early lead on a lot of these states, and it was actually pretty scary for the first couple of days seeing all of these red leading states when it came to the cumulative the cumulative perception of how this election was going to go. But then the numbers started coming in.
When you flip Georgia, of all states,
to be fair, that's going to be contentious and it's going to have a runoff election come
Oh, yeah.
December and January. But
Yeah, even so.
the fact that Georgia tinted blue, and you look at it and it's in a sea of red.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map right now, and it is sort of an anomaly.
Sounds like a Trump line. I kind of doubt that he said suckers and losers. No, he did. There's clips of him saying it.
Legit, straight up.
If I felt like it, I could track it down. Actually, Griffin, can you in fact go ahead and do that while I keep talking?
I would be happy to serve as your research department here.
Thank you. Much appreciated. But yes, he actually straight up said suckers and losers. He's on camera actually saying this. And if he's not on camera, then it was certainly reported by people who were there to actually hear it. Like,
let's see here. Let's see here. Here. In a conversation with senior staff members on the morning of the scheduled visit, Trump said, "Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers."
Yep. So, I guess it's not on camera. I know that he said a lot of things on camera, and it's pretty easy to refute them. My mistake. I'm going to own up to that mistake. But it was pretty well confirmed that he said suckers and losers.
Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this was another juicy tidbit. Trump's understanding of concepts such as patriotism, service, and sacrifice has interested the author of this article, since he expressed contempt for the war record of the late Senator John McCain, who spent more than 5 years as a prisoner of the North Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
Quote Trump, "He's not a war hero," he said in 2015 while running for the Republican nomination of president. "I like people who weren't captured." And I can even, put a link to the specific article I'm reading from if anyone is at all interested.
I think you should be able to post some links for that in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm just happy you guys 2 months from now will have a president that isn't a complete piece of shit. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
not to mention the personal attacks he made to Biden during the confrontations, which were more frequent than talking about his political program. Well, that's just it. That's right. His entire platform has been about antagonizing the right people, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, to get the people who out there in the world who were waiting for an agitator of his scale to give them permission to let all of their worst personal biases out. That is exactly what he was, and that's why so many people voted for him. He appealed to, unfortunately, a very prominent cultural thing in America.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's been there. And the thing is, I'm going to say this. Democrats are just as guilty of it as the Republicans. The Republicans kept yanking the Overton window to the right, but Democrats have continued to follow along with that to make compromises in the interest of trying to reach a middle ground. But the attitude of racism, classism, misogyny, every one of these things, and those things I'm going to say are not up for debate because we have been saturated with it, and the results of this election, the fact that there was any doubt that Biden would actually get the nomination in the wake of every last fucking thing that Trump has done. The fact that he still had a pretty good, significant chunk of the people of this country voting for him tells you exactly how bad it is for us, the way that our culture is, the way that we have swept a lot of these bigotries under the rug, and we pretend that they're not there, but they are, and they're festering, and we need to work. The work is ahead of us to start fixing these things.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Biden isn't exactly a bed of roses himself, but
No.
at the very least, he's a can of aerosol after a big wet fart.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that. Like, it's an old aerosol where it's almost like expired and the scent is also pretty bad, but it's preferable.
Yeah, I will say, we have also made history with his running mate, being the first female, black and Asian woman to hold an office like this.
To hold the vice presidential office. I mean, vice presidential elect, just, before we get to contentions on that,
Oh
but
yeah.
whatever. I think we're pretty well safely assuming that this is going to be, there's not much that Trump can do to dispute the results, despite what he keeps saying, despite what his cultists are saying.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a lot in this country that needs to be addressed. There's a lot in this country that has been festering since its inception. The same attitude of we are entitled to this land that we landed on, that we were not natively born in. The entitlement to the lives of black people brought over from Africa to treat them as objects for our profit. The fact that capitalism makes that okay in any way. These things have been a celebrated part of our history and of our culture, and this is how we have treated one another since the beginning. None of this is new. It's just been swept under the rug this entire time. While it's true Biden is imperfect and there's still work to do, it's good for us to celebrate good things every once in a while. Joy is... no, absolutely, and I'm going to circle back to that. I am gonna circle back to that. I absolutely promise. I'm emphasizing this right now because I have spent the last 4 years, actually, I've spent the last 20 years just about being fed up with the government that we have. The way that this has been run, the way that they set things up, the way that this country is so prone to so much corruption, to so much jury rigging, to the gerrymandering, to all of this. The Electoral College existing period in a day like this, in this day and age, is in itself a relic of what we are holding on to. The assumption that the American public is too stupid to actually know anything about their candidates. And the problem is not that the Trumpists didn't know what Trump was about. It's because what he was about is what they wanted.
Yeah. And for anyone who is at all curious as to, how the Electoral College in the United States works, with your permission, Laura, I can also link a video in the chat that can help explain that.
Sure.
All right.
As a short little
Yeah.
way of looking that up. I mean, this information, interestingly enough, the Electoral College was basically set up as a way for people who actually knew the candidates and knew the political situation could vote on behalf of the people based on what the people have expressed by popular vote.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's outdated, it's unnecessary. We live in the information age where we have everything at our fingertips. We knew who we were voting for. And the fact is, it didn't matter what the facts are. It doesn't matter that Trump is a corrupt piece of garbage sitting on a broken throne. None of that really mattered, because what the people wanted that voted for him was exactly what he was putting out there. Lies that made you feel better. Lies that made you feel like you were more important than someone else. And there's a lot to address there, because that's just it. When I say that the Democrats are just as guilty of letting this shit get so bad, it's because they have played into a lot of that. They played into the loophole that the 13th Amendment ended up affording people who wanted to continue owning slaves and continue trying to own black bodies by making them criminals. And that is why you see black people criminalized at higher rates proportionate to their population than white people, because they then exploit them for free labor or really, really cheap labor. And it has been really, really bad. And it's in my lifetime that I have watched the crackdown get exponentially worse. This is a CP Gray video. I found his video about the Electoral College informative. Is that it?
No, it is actually from a series of, edutainment sort of videos called Adam Ruins Everything. where the gentleman in question, obviously named Adam, goes through various hot topics, including politics, and basically runs through like the actual details as to why they may be somewhat less than perfect.
Okay. But the problem is that one of the reasons why this has been so effective is because, and I say this as someone who grew up in the Northeast, a lot of the culture has been shitting on what we colloquially termed rednecks.
Mm-hmm.
The Appalachian natives, the people who have the really thick accents, who don't appear to have a lot of money, who don't have access to the same kind of education, who live in very rural and remote areas and are not going to be as plugged in, so to speak, as people who do live in much more privileged areas. And when you have generation after generation of the intellectual elites shitting on you and making you feel worthless and then blaming you for not being able to rise up in the world and to not be able to live comfortably and to live through hardship. And on top of that, when you have the kind of gerrymandering and district bullshit and suppression that has been going on in the South for as long as it's been the South, it breeds resentment. You are also ignoring a huge chunk of people who are educated but can't get their voices heard. Adam ruins everything. Welcome back, Queen. Yes. Finishing up D&D. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow too. Anyway.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, go ahead.
I just, sorry, but we have had this cesspool swirling around us for a long time, and it ended up coming to a head. This same shit, the police brutality, the racism, the bigotry of all kinds, all of this has been brewing and festering, and the resentment was there, which made it a lot harder for people who were in less privileged positions, people who were suffering from classism, to listen to the people who then turned around and said, oh, you can't be racist, that's a bad. And it's like, why should they care? Now, I say that. The people who continued to follow Trump, despite the fact that he was constantly fact-checked, the fact that he was called out for being a liar, they made a choice, and it is the result of both social conditioning and letting their prejudices come to a head. He encouraged that, and that is why things have gotten to this point.
It's almost as if the way this country is built is specifically made to pit people against each other.
Well, I mean, it wasn't, not initially. The problem is that we're literally the very things that our founding fathers tried to warn us against, things like letting religion have any bearing on the government whatsoever, letting it devolve into a two-party system where it creates these kinds of stalemates. All of that shit is exactly what we devolved into over time. And everything that we have been dealing with in the last 4 years especially, and especially for me the last 20 years, it's all been just everything that was already there, but with a magnifying glass. Yes. To be able to actually see what it is that's going on. So I'm sorry I did cut you off before. Go ahead.
It's fine. I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Boy, that is a mood. ADHD, guys, it's a fucking impact.
I think I recall now, but before that, John, who is Jerry and why is he Mandarin? Clearly you've never played Undertale. Anyway.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I had to get that one in. But I've said this on more than one occasion and possibly multiple times on stream. There's a difference between being educated and being intelligent. And people often use education as some sort of bargaining, oftentimes a bargaining chip, yes, but also as some sort of validation for a sense of superiority. And the opportunity for getting an education is often used in and of itself as a bargaining chip, and also as basically a quote-unquote badge of honor or some sort of elite pass. They're trying to differentiate themselves from others who may not necessarily have as many opportunities to, make their way in the world or to have their voice heard. And so, is it any wonder why when people who classify themselves as educated or intelligent, going either way, look down on people who don't have as many opportunities and try and lecture them on why they are inherently wrong about something? It is not surprising that they might be somewhat less than willing to listen to what the other person has to say. So, and Laura's alluded to this as much. If you want to make a statement, approach it from an initial point of care and understanding, and try and explain to people why there's something wrong with whatever it is you are trying to discuss with them. And for some people, they won't be willing to listen no matter what, and that's somewhat unavoidable. But like, start with the default of, okay, you are unfamiliar with, maybe I guess you could probably express it. You know what I'm trying to say. You could probably express it a lot more aptly than I. But basically, yeah, don't be an ass.
Like, honestly, I honestly kind of default to that one XKCD comic of never respond to someone who doesn't know something like as if they're an idiot for not knowing it. If in fact you acknowledge what they are, what their experience is, and you're like, oh, you haven't learned of this yet. Let me have the privilege of taking you through that and helping you see, the way that this could be, and showing you what I know, and have you be able to come to your own conclusion. It treats the person like they are capable of understanding. Now, some people will listen to that and will still choose their ignorance because it is comfortable over learning something new. But if you don't start out by actually encouraging some degree of acknowledging the humanity of the other person first,
then give them the opportunity.
Yeah, give them the opportunity to be a fucking asshole, and then soundly fucking tell them off.
Yeah, don't be my high school chemistry teacher. Like, I've probably told that story as well, but my high school chemistry teacher, like, when someone didn't necessarily know the answer to something, he'd come in with an analogy like, how many legs does a 3-legged dog have? To try and make us feel stupid. Like, don't be that dick. Of course, it sort of makes sense when I think back, considering he started out as a football coach before getting that particular position.
Yeah, that
How he got that position after that, I have no idea.
Treating humans like humans is a good. Yes, it absolutely is.
Yeah, funny that.
So, the thing is that this has been a problem, and that has been escalated by people on quote-unquote both sides. I will say, white liberalism is a huge cancer on this. And I say that because I have watched so many people. I have watched a lot of the devolution of this country come at the hands of people who were like, well, if I can't have it exactly the way that I want it to be, then I'm going to sabotage it for everyone.
Yeah. Again, to the, a vice grip on the undercarriage of this country for the past 4 years.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm also looking up a reference for what I want to do here. Let me tell you guys, as, looks like I'm having a connection issue.
Oh, joy. And be sure to let us know in the chat if you see any lagging issues or trouble hearing us, because again, that's something we want to keep on top of. We had some similar issues last week, so the feedback would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you're not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Yeah. Yes. And the thing is I'm even going to say the problem with that, it has been my internet has been taking a fucking nosedive as of recent, where I'll be in call and the internet will have a fucking blip and I can hear other people fucking perfectly.
Yeah. It's oddly one-sided that way. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like I was cutting out for a bit there.
Yeah.
For the stream. Let's see. Honestly, I'm just happy that Trump is finally out of office. I'm aware that he's still around and his supporters are still there, but at least he doesn't have control over the entire. He unfortunately does for the next 3 months, John. That's the issue.
2.
Yeah, fair.
What am I making? Some bullshit.
Yeah, some good bullshit.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna. So what I'm at. The thing is, and I'm even gonna. I may as well actually even say this. So I actually, in a fit of inspiration today, decided that I was going to actually put it up to vote what it was that I was actually going to stream today. And I had a few options: Final Fantasy VII, Stardew Valley, the Magic of the Mundane Farm. I was going to potentially continue the Blackwell Legacy, which I will likely be continuing in the near future. But the last option was Arty the Thingy. And that one, like the others, got 3 votes. One of them got the 1 vote. Not a lot of people are terribly fond of Final Fantasy VII, and I cannot understand that. That's a me thing that I want to do. Sometimes good bullshit is therapeutic, yes. Another glitch. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's frustrating, but I may not have much options in regards to that. So where was my train of thought? Okay. I am making my art-wise, I am making the art for... Okay, yeah, people voted for me doing the art thing today, and so the thing that I even promoted it on is that I'm going to be working on art for an upcoming Ballad of Lorelei video. It's basically one that's in the works. Again, like the last one, it's a short one. It's a short, sweet, short, and simple thing, although this one might be introducing an interesting concept to keep in mind. But that's what I'm making today. On top of all of my political commentary, because that is clearly what everyone here has come for. I mean, actually, that's not much of a stretch. All right. I wish I could draw a circle.
I think people have found out by now that when they come to your channel for anything, they're bound to get, well, not necessarily an earful, but things are going to be talked about at length.
Yeah.
Same with my channel.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, Shikarian.
Yes.
I got the fucking notification and I was like, what? What happened? Oh, that's a... Thank you very much. And I actually didn't spend a lot of time actually even doing that today, huh? I didn't do any of that, in fact. How do draw pan?
I don't know. I don't play Fortnite. Anyway, let's see. John Morrison, have you heard about the mural in Spider-Man Miles Morales? I have not. However, I do recall during the early months of the BLM protests, there was an individual dressing up as the Miles Morales Spider-Man, and I think it was either that or maybe it was a paper. There was someone dressed up as Spider-Man climbing up the Brooklyn Bridge, joining the protesters. And I basically believe like they're either holding a sign or they're chanting, "You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us."
Yeah. I know when I show to your streams, I know that strong opinions come with the territory. I mean, I have never shied from that. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, neither have I, so.
You know what I am tempted to do?
I mean, I might.
Alright, I'm going to go back to a reference. So visually, I'm not going to be able to read the chat for a little bit. But I'm going to draw pretty much directly from what I am given. Okay. That's not how I do that.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I can't say I'm fully surprised if that's actually true, John. Apparently in the new Spider-Man game, there's a mural that says black people existing. Why does this game need to be so political?
I'm silent because I don't have words, but
Yeah, it's fair.
not helpful. Really not helpful.
Okay, no, okay. Apparently, I misread. That wasn't the actual mural. It was a BLM mural.
Ah.
Yeah, sorry, my
Oh,
bad.
gamers reacted. Yeah.
Okay.
Gamers reacted with, wait a minute. I don't
Uh-huh.
like black people existing in things. God, why's it gotta be political? That's been the thing for so long.
Yeah. God.
Hey, look who figured out how to draw a fucking pan.
I mean,
Okay, that's looking more pan-like. Alright. Where's that face palm? What's gonna be in the pan? I'm glad you asked!
your
Today,
brain on drugs.
fuck off. We are going, this is going to be grilled cheese.
Oh God.
I'm not gonna spoil all of that, just saying it's the grilled cheese.
I'm tempted to get some grilled cheese, actually.
I am debating ordering something today in celebration of everything.
Yeah, the thing is, I've already ordered out like twice this week, so like.
No, I get that. And it's important, right now, especially, to be careful about, living beyond your means. And I have
Yes.
to be especially careful because I actually just had to pay a medical bill from some expenses that I had not been made aware of until I went to actually check my prescription refills and saw that there was a really, really huge bill that I was never contacted about, but was on the edge of going to collections. So I couldn't pay the whole thing, but I had to drop about $60 just to hopefully prevent that from going to collections, because there's not much that I can do about it as a whole, but I wanted to try and save a little bit of my credit score.
Yeah. See, grilled cheese is literally